Hi everyone. I'm sure most of you know me. My name is Miss Lombardi. Um, I have not posted on this channel in a long time, and I made a lot of promises over the past few years that I would start to post again. So I figured why not start now when it's summertime anyway, right? The story I picked to share with you guys today is called The Tree Lady. It is by an author named H. Joseph Hopkins. And I like this book because it really is a true story of how one tree-loving woman changed a city forever. And before I read this book, I just want to say that a lot of people don't realize that their actions, even though it might feel small in the moment, their actions can affect a lot of people in a good way and in a negative way. So this story is a great example of how even though something as small as planting a seed might seem like you're not doing anything, you might actually be changing a lot. All right. Anyway, the tree lady. Katherine Olivia Sessions grew up in the woods of Northern California. She gathered leaves from oaks and elms, she collected needles from pines and redwoods, and she braided them together with flowers to make necklaces and bracelets. It was the 1860s, and girls from Kate's side of town weren't supposed to get their hands dirty. But Kate did. Kate listened well in school. She learned how to write and count. She remembered the poems and stories she read. But best of all, she liked studying wind and rain, muscles and bones, plants and trees, especially trees. Most girls were discouraged from studying science, but not Kate. So if you look, back in the 1800s, if you were in one of my fifth grade classes, you probably know we talked about how the world was a lot different back then and how women and men didn't have the same rights. So if you look at this photo, Kate is the only girl in the illustration that's present in this class. Pretty cool. Kate felt the trees were her friends. She loved the way they reached towards the sky and how their branches stretched wide to catch light. Trees seemed to Kate like giant umbrellas that sheltered her and the animals, birds, and plants that lived in the forest. Not everyone feels at home in the woods, but Kate did. There she is, hanging out in the woods. I kind of feel like Kate sometimes. I love going on nature walks and stuff. When Kate grew up, she left home to study science at college. She looked at soils and insects through a microscope. She learned how plants made food and how they drank water. And she studied trees from around the world. No woman had ever graduated from the University of California with a degree in science. But in 1881, Kate did. There's Kate. Boom. Notice once again in this illustration how Kate is the only woman in this illustration because back then women were not expected or really wanted at a college. After graduation, Kate took a job in Southern California. When her boat docked in San Diego, she saw that her new home was a desert town. Kate never thought she would live in a place with very few trees, but now she did. Hmm. Kate began her job as a teacher. She was also the vice principal of the school, so she had to make sure that everyone followed the rules. Kate missed studying science and was not sure that she would stay on the job, but for 2 years, she did. I think that's a good point in the book to talk about how sometimes we make choices to do something and to commit to something. So, for example, Kate chose to commit to teaching science, and being a teacher, but it just wasn't what she wanted. So sometimes it's okay to tell yourself this didn't work out, but I'm still going to try it. You still want to try. She was a teacher for 2 years before she realized she wants to do something else. Pretty cool. From her school, Kate could see City Park in the hills above town. It was called a park, but it didn't look like one. It was where people grazed cattle and dumped garbage. Most San Diegans didn't think trees could ever grow there. Kate did. With Kate's love for the woods, she thought San Diego needed trees more than anything else. So she left teaching to become a gardener. She knew she must plant trees that could live in dry soil with lots and lots of sunshine. Her friends worried Kate wouldn't find trees like that. But She did. And obviously, you can tell in this picture that this is like a palm tree. And these are all different types of trees that can grow in a place like San Diego in California, where the climate is very, very hot and, it doesn't really rain too much. Kate became a tree hunter. She wrote letters to gardeners all over the world and asked them to send her seeds that could grow in a desert. She also traveled south into Mexico to look for trees that liked hot, dry weather and steep hills and canyons. Not everyone knows how to hunt for trees, but Kate did. On this page, it's just like all different like types of like tree types. So we have the yucca, eucalyptus, Aleppo pine, the boojum, the Oliver tree. Oh no, that says quiver. Sorry, I'm reading upside down. um, the jacaranda. That one's cool. The Italian cypress. The bristlecone pine. We have the Brazilian pepper, the palm tree, the naked coral tree, and the dragon tree. So these are all real trees that can grow in dry climates like in California. Some of these could even probably grow here. I'm not sure which ones, but maybe the cypress, the Italian cypress. Pretty cool. Soon, Kate's trees were planted along streets, around schools, and in small parks and plazas all over town. People bought trees from Kate's nursery and planted them in their yards. Pausing there. And I know a lot of you might hear the word nursery and you might think like babies, but there is also the word nursery used to describe a place where plants are grown, particularly trees and shrubs. So people were going to Kate's nursery to try to buy some trees, which is pretty cool. And you might notice that the city that Kate moved to is starting to look a lot different. Hmm. Do you notice a difference? Then in 1909, the city leaders announced that a great fair called the Panama California Exposition was coming to San Diego in 1915. The fair would be held in City Park, which was now called Balboa Park. Kate felt Balboa Park still needed more trees, thousands more, to look beautiful and to shade the visitors that came to the fair. So she's excited for the fair, but she feels like there needs to be some improvement. Hmm. All the trees. There was too many trees for Kate to plant by herself, but she knew lots of people could do it together. She asked her friends to bring their friends and come to the park for a tree planting parties. Again and again, people volunteered to help. Those volunteers were not sure that they could plant enough trees, but before long, they did. Hmm. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's a great example of that. And when the fair opened, San Diego was ready. Millions of trees and plants filled Balboa Park. The fair had so many visitors, it stayed open for 2 years instead of just one. People came from near and far to see the attractions and stroll in the cool shade. The fair goers couldn't believe San Diego had such magnificent gardens. But thanks to Kate, it did. A fun fact for those of you who know me personally, I actually traveled to Balboa Park like many years ago when I went to California, and they have given her an award in the park, and she's the mother of Balboa Park because she's the reason why it's so beautiful today. If you get a chance, look it up on Google. It is amazing. In the years after the fair, Kate was given many awards for her work, and people took to calling her the mother of Balboa Park. She continued gardening and planting trees until her death in 1940. Back then, few could have imagined that San Diego would become the lush, leafy city it is today. But all along, year after year, Katherine Olivia Sessions did. The end. The Tree Lady. Thank you for joining me. And if you stay till the end of this video, I appreciate you. I will be trying to post another read aloud very soon. So come check back in a few days. Bye bye.